Tomorrow is one of the first big tests of this month before we take on Liverpool in what's said to be an epic cup final showdown. So far we've won 2 games on the bounce. That was one of the games of the season in a 3-1 win against Aston Villa, and after that, in my opinion, we showed some amazing character to come back and finally push the team right to the very end by picking up a 3-1 win against Crystal Palace. For me, this was significant because this was the exact type of game in which our heads drop, we lose confidence, we lose form, and we don't get a result. So currently, we're seeing small, hopeful signs, and I guess hope is something we're definitely going to need tomorrow because we've not beaten Man City now in the past 7 attempts. That last win came in the Etihad Stadium, courtesy of goals from Hakim Ziyech and a last-minute Marcus Alonso win. The last time we beat them at home was that 2-1 win under Frank Lampard, courtesy of a last-minute Christian Pulisic win. The last time we kept a clean sheet against them was under Mauricio Sarri, again a 2-0 home win. But my friends, in my opinion, we must take inspiration from 2 particular games. One of those games was that famous 3-1 win under Antonio Conte, goals coming from Costa, Willian, Eden Hazard, one of the classic world-class counter-attacking performances. And for the other game to take inspiration from, it was this season's 4-4 draw against Man City, where we showed no fear. And we went toe-to-toe against Man City from the first minute right to the very end. And it's this fearless nature that we must take advantage of and harness if we hope to get any positive result against Man City tomorrow. Can Cole Palmer come back and haunt his former club on his Man City Etihad return? Well, today, my friends, I'm here to discuss all things preview, breaking down the team news, Pochettino's very insightful press conference, where I'm going to spend some time discussing his opinions on Enzo Fernandez's best position, and obviously we must break down the predicted lineup for Man City. So hit that like button, my friends. Only hit the like button if you feel in your blue heart right here, yeah? So sit back, relax, and I hope you guys enjoy. And let's get straight into this preview. Now we start with team news, and thank God the injury list is getting shorter and shorter every single month right now, but there was a surprise inclusion back on the list, and Chukwuemeka now is continuing a rehab program, of course, to get back to full fitness. So hopefully it's nothing too serious, but outside of that, players like Thiago Silva are still out. Cucurella at least is now training on the field again, so he's beginning light training sessions, which is a positive sign for him. And we know that Sanchez now is past whatever injury he has, and he is in contention to be selected against Man City. So now let's discuss the key talking points in today's press conference against Man City. And actually, one of the focuses in the press conference was around Cole Palmer, as he is set to return to the Etihad after signing for us this summer. Now, Poch was asked whether Guardiola might regret allowing Palmer to leave, and in my opinion, I probably don't think so. And I think that Poch kind of agrees with that sentiment because he kind of spoke around that question and stressed the fact that at Man City, essentially, the entry barrier to get in that first team is a lot higher because they're probably the best team in the world right now. When asked whether Palmer might feel like he has something to prove, he never plays like he has anything to prove. And in fact, he's going to look forward to returning back to the club which essentially produced him. And I think Pochettino was very complimentary towards Cole Palmer. He said that he was quite surprised by how quickly he's taken to life at Chelsea FC. And he mentioned the fact that his staff kind of drew comparisons with Cole Palmer and South American players from like Brazil, Argentina, etc, etc. And that's because of how quickly and seamlessly he has integrated himself into this football club, and of course living in a new city and a new environment. I think it's quite interesting that Pochettino regularly draws comparisons with Cole Palmer to South American players. Now we can't forget that big comparison to Angel Di Maria, and the fact that he sees that bit of like South American personality in Palmer's game, I think speaks very highly about how he's been produced at Man City and the potential that Palmer still has to show as he develops over the next few years. Naturally, Pochettino was going to express his admiration and professional respect for Pep Guardiola, and there's actually an interesting personal record that Pochettino could achieve if we beat Man City tomorrow, and that's the fact that outside of Jose Mourinho, Pochettino would be the first manager to get 4 results with 4 different teams against Guardiola. I'm sure that's something Pochettino low-key is hoping that he can get against Pep tomorrow. And my friends, to now move on to the big question today, and that was focused around Enzo Fernandez and his use and position. Now, this has been a big key topic of conversation recently. I've seen many videos, I've read many arguments. I kind of understand and I appreciate the great investigative work that's gone into dissecting and discussing Enzo Fernandez's use, but I do feel like at times, key context is kind of missing from this conversation. But I'll give my thoughts afterwards. Here's what Pochettino had to say. And when asked whether Enzo looks better playing closer to Caicedo, Poch feels like Enzo can also play further up, and Enzo has box-to-box capacities. As Pochettino said, sometimes it's different with how we see the things. I don't believe that he is now playing deeper, Enzo. I think always we thought that he is a player with the capacity to build in our build-up, using him and his quality, and then to arrive in the opposition box with the possibility to score. And you know what, I'm gonna hold my hands up, but since the first time we've signed him, the videos are out there, I've constantly stressed this about Enzo Fernandez. He's a box-to-box player because you use him in the first phase, which is the build-up. He continues in the second phase, and then he can get on the end of moves in the third phase. And I say this because that has been the player's career. When he was playing for Defensia, he played box-to-box. When he played for River Plate under Helado, he was playing box-to-box. For Argentina in that World Cup win, he also played a box-to-box role. And even at Benfica, where his role was slightly tweaked, he still had that license to push further up, roam forward, because Florentino Luis was his holding player alongside him. I think we have to go past this notion that Enzo is just like this Regista clone or Paul Scholes figure, just because we saw some nice passes last season, with the important context being that we also came mid-table, so it wasn't like it did too much for us in that context. I think for myself, it comes down to a few things, but I think the big key tactical difference that we're seeing in 2024 compared to 2023 actually comes from the fact that we are now using a natural left back, and by having that left back, the team balance improves and it gets better. And as I've said multiple times this season, that difference being Enzo Fernandez now doesn't have to make those lateral runs out wide to double up with the winger. When he's too wide, he's away from the ball. But with having a natural left back in the team, Enzo is now finding himself in the channels again, a lot more concentrated towards where the ball is. So this is why he's a lot more connected in terms of how we use the ball. But another important bit of context is that Enzo has also been nursing injuries this season. It's why we weren't regularly seeing Enzo completing 90-minute games. And it comes down to a multitude of things. It comes down to the fact that he had this groin lesion issue, which is called pubalgia, which he suffered with kind of chronically this season. And this is why he was substituted very early on against Newcastle in that Carabao Cup game. So he's been nursing this injury behind the scenes. And outside of that, he's also suffered small muscle strains in training. And I know it might sound like an excuse, but his partner and himself have a newborn kid, and you're going to be doing many restless nights as well. So there's many a reason as to why Enzo wasn't fit enough to play this role perfectly. The great thing is we are seeing some big improvements in Enzo's adaptation and Enzo's role. Now he's playing more as a box-to-box mid. And I think it's no surprise why he's got 3 goals in the past 2 games. And I think now that the team is a bit stronger tactically, now that the understanding has improved a bit more, now that Enzo Fernandez is a lot fitter as well too, he now makes a lot more sense playing in his best natural position. He still gets to connect alongside Caicedo, it's just the fact that he has that license to affect the game in the final thirds. And even though I understand why people may feel like Nini, if Enzo is playing constantly alongside Caicedo, it might be better for us in terms of build-up. I get that, but we also can't forget that unfortunately Enzo isn't passing the ball to himself in the final third. So this role encapsulates his best qualities, and I fully agree with Pochettino, and I actually think his use of Enzo Fernandez is going to help Enzo improve and become better for this experience of playing in his best roles. So my friends, with the final 2 questions, naturally Poch was asked if we're going to learn any lessons from our 4-4 draw against Man City, and I like what Pochettino said. He said that if we wait to play and see what happens, then we have the potential to get easily dominated by Man City. What we must do tomorrow is we must attack, we must run, and we must be together. I like the message he is sending out there to the team, because that is the team he is looking to build. And for the final question, naturally, Nicholas Jackson's disciplinary record was brought up again, and I also liked how Pochettino responded in this press conference. I really liked him today. Of course, Jackson picked up another yellow card, and Poch said it was bad, but it was also good. And he really supported Nico because he was there supporting his teammates. And I think that's one thing we can attest towards Nico this season. He's there for his teammates. We see him in the celebrations. He'll back whatever he has to do. And obviously it's not great that he's picking up so many bookings, but I think because it's his first year at this football club and he's quite a young player, you don't want to kill his instincts right now. They can be improved upon as he gets more experience. And Poch actually said himself too, if Nicholas Jackson was a lot older, I would not be happy whatsoever. So I think he's understanding that, there's some growing pains that you must accept, but at the same time, he wants to give that confidence belief to his players, especially if it benefits the whole team. So my friends, that is the press conference out of the way. And now we end things with a predicted lineup, and I feel like it's going to be quite easy for me to go through this one because personally, there is only one lineup that Poch can use in the game tomorrow, and you're about to see it on the screen. Up front, I've got Nico on the left, and Nkunku up front, Palmer on the right hand side. Midfield of Connor, Enzo, Caicedo sitting deep, and of course, defense of Ben, Korbel, Disasi, Gusto, and I'm going for Petrovic in goal. Now, I thought about this really long and hard. It's nice that Robert Sanchez is back, and we can't forget that this guy has made some big saves for us this season. It's actually a good positive that both goalkeepers have been in great form for us this season. The only reason why I'm going for Petro right now is based on the fact that I don't want to disrupt a pretty settled defense, and I think Petrovic has been quite good playing for us. However, I think there is one quality you do miss though, and that is the ball playing abilities of Robert Sanchez. In that 4-4 draw against Man City, I remember countless line breaking passes that was kick-starting counter attacks and transition plays for us, and that is a good strong aspect of Sanchez's game, and that's an aspect that Petro himself has admitted that he must improve upon. But Petro has been making some outstanding saves, especially 1v1. And I guess it becomes that balance of, do you go for the shot stopper that you have more faith in, even though Sanchez has been sick, or do you go for the player that could benefit the tactical roles even more by going for that ball playing keeper? In my opinion, I'd be surprised if Sanchez is fully ready to come back. So I'm sticking with Petro in goal for now. Obviously, defense speaks for itself, and I'm so happy to see natural defensive players playing in their natural positions. If we did this from the start of the season, I don't think we'd be this low down in the table, in my humble opinion. But I'm really excited to see Cole playing. I think we keep forgetting this guy's 20 years old, by far the youngest centre-back in the team, and I think he has the potential to be easily the best one. And I think he's been very strong this season, considering the new roles and positions he's been playing in. One thing I'm really hoping I see from Cole is that he uses his passing range. Now at Brighton, the incredible connection he had alongside Matoma was sick, and I'm excited to see Cole and Caicedo playing together again. I do think when you have that left foot at the back, it just opens up the passing angles, and Caicedo and Cole have a great understanding when it comes to playing and receiving off each other. So I'm glad that Cole's back. Midfield is going to be absolutely key, and it's the easiest one to pick because we're kind of light in midfield. Hence why players like Caicedo had to be brought back, because we need more options based on all these injuries. But it's nice to see that there's a growing understanding and connection now that players are fitter, are more used to their roles. I think Gallagher, again, this guy's fitness, one of the fittest players in the league. He was so instrumental in winning tackles, winning pressures, and forcing errors in Man City's half. He played a great game against Rodri. We can't forget that, and that gave us a massive chance to get that result that we did. It's great that Enzo now is a lot fitter and that he's showing goal scoring form, and it's great that finally Enzo and Connor are showing that goal scoring prowess that was criminally missing at the start of the season, because with how we play, they're also responsible for goals. So let's hope that they can maintain that midfield goal scoring streak against Man City, and up front it speaks for itself. Palmer on the right hand side with that right channel there, linking up alongside Gusto, connecting with Gallagher, etc, etc. It's just, I think, considering all the options I've seen, it's the strongest one. And when Palmer was moved to the right hand side against Crystal Palace, his creativity was on full effect with the passes in behind, connecting with his teammates, switches of play, balls in behind, and it's no surprise he picked up 2 assists against Crystal Palace. He must play there. And obviously up front it's the big one. I've gone for Nico on the left because I think pace transitionally will be key, and I've gone for Nkunku up front because he's still waiting to get back to full fitness, right? But you see his qualities in play with like his sick first touches, the nice backfield flicks, you know, his composure in tight areas. Hopefully Nkunku Christo is feeling even more confident in his fitness, because this guy can be a menace against Man City. Let's not forget the hat-trick he scored against them playing for RB Leipzig. He scored so many goals against City, and I feel like this is the finishing difference maker that hopefully gives us that fighting chance against Man City. And in my opinion, I think this is our strongest team out of anyone in the squad, and I've got some hope that we can do something in tomorrow's game. So my friends, I hope you guys enjoy. Share your thoughts and opinions. Give us your predicted lineups. I'm EFC. This is Blue Lions TV. I'll see you guys all tomorrow. Cool.